Hello and welcome to day 18 of the Puro Joshi Advent Calendar here on the channel. My name is Peps and today we are opening another door into the world of Japanese Pro Wrestling 2025 as we take a look at my personal top 5 favorite matches of the Joshi Indy scene in 2025. Like always, important to mention is that I try to include 5 different companies here, so there's not going to be 2 matches from Senai Girls, 2 matches from Sorryism, and just 1 match from Marvelous because it would be way too easy. It's 5 matches from 5 totally different companies with not a single wrestler being mentioned twice, I believe. No, 1 wrestler only being mentioned twice, actually. So that is one thing. And the other thing is the matches aren't ranked by how much you like them personally. They are ranked by when they happen in 2025. So we are starting at the earliest, which is at the beginning of January. And the last match on this list happens in October, I believe. With that, let's just not waste any more time and start with my top 5 matches of the Joshi Indy scene 2025. The first match on this list comes from Marvelous, and it's not a match people would personally expect on this list. Yes, it's a match from January 12th in Yokohama, not on a Hurricane, not on one of the bigger shows, and it's not including Marvelous versus Marigold. It doesn't even include Takumi Raw 3, like the news names. It's a match between Senka Katsuki and Ai Hosan. As in the first few months of her career, Senka Katsuki found herself in a little bit of a rivalry that defined her early part of her 2025 against Ai Hosan. The two met twice in January 2025 in what, in my opinion at least, became one of the early highlights of Marvelous careers. Their first encounter took place in January 4th, ending in a 15-minute time draw. And at that point, it was kind of a shock because everyone was like, okay, Ai Hosan is a veteran. She's definitely going to beat the 2-month rookie. But no, Senka hadn't even wrestled 10 matches yet and was able to fight to a 15-minute time draw against the experienced Hosan. A few days later, Marvelous then announced the rematch for January 12th in Yokohama, but this time under special rules. It was announced under All Japan Women Shoot rules. So under these rules, the match itself is worked normally, but within the match, both wrestlers take turns trying to legitimately pin each other. So shoot pins are allowed. And if you can hold down your opponent for 3 seconds, you win the match. If your opponent kicks out or escapes, it's their turn to try and beat you. And back in the 80s, these matches were done in secret. Like, the fans were never outright told that they were watching a shoot fight or not. But this time, Marvelous straight up told the audience up front that this match would be considered under shoot rules. In doing so, Chigusa Nagayo Marvelous essentially acknowledged something that no wrestling promotion, especially in Japan, ever says out loud. And that is that pro wrestling is a performance and is not real. It was a risky creative move, especially with how media might perceive it, but it totally paid off with the match because the match itself, it wasn't like anything in terms of straight up in-ring work. It wasn't anything beautiful, but it was gritty, it was emotional, and it was intense. Both wrestlers just fought with raw determination, trying to just outlast each other. And Senka in the end secured the victory, which was the first major win of her career, and it was just great. Like, to see these young wrestlers trying to pin each other, hold each other down, with everyone trying, like with the crowd getting into the match and both of them knowing what is in stake. And it is not, okay, the match is not scripted, or at least they told the audience it's not scripted. I don't know if it was actually not scripted, but we will pretend it was not scripted because otherwise it would be kind of silly. And they just tried to hold each other down. The kickouts just felt real. If they connected with me on a personal level, and everything was just incredible. And it was even topped with the post-match speech, as Senka, Ai Hosan, and Nagayo were after that in the ring, and it just perfectly captured what made the story special. While the spotlight wasn't entirely on Akatsuki, her win became a turning point for her career, but also for Ai Hosan, whose frustration and drive to Wolf gave the rivalry and her future a little bit of a heart. It was pretty much the best example of how Marvelous uses emotional struggles to still tell stories inside the wrestling matches, and how Senka's throwback rookie fits perfectly into this philosophy. It then led, of course, to Senka getting more focus with the Marigold feud, but also with Ai Hosan getting a little bit of a push. It kind of went into nowhere. That led to the Curtain Hall main event that me and Scott talked about between Spark Rush, Takumi Roha, and Sari against Ai Hosan and Venny. That was incredible, in my opinion. So in the end, this match and this little feud between those two led to something bigger for both of them. For Senka, it helped in her even getting established in the long run, likely, while Hosen had a slight hope and a slight push that she needed to show the audience what she has. Sadly, it didn't really lead to something long-term with her, but, you can never hope you can always hope with Joshi Wrestling. Match number 2 comes from Sariism on January 23rd, Sariism Chapter 6, and is it any surprise that we're talking about Sari match here? And it's no other match than Sari's outing against Meiko Satomura in the main event of the show. A match that hasn't happened since 2019, and on top was also the debut match of Sari back in 2011 on the first ever Diana show. That was pretty good. I believe Sari was like 15, 14 back then. Doesn't matter. Anyway, 15 years later, and that's the final outing they are having. Both of them, of course, were scheduled or had matches in WWE, with both being part of NXT. They also had a match scheduled in NXT UK for Meiko Satomura's WWE UK Women's Championship, but it was never happened. It was never really explained why, but I would imagine that it was visa issues, an injury, and then it had this weird angle. It was really a bad day. I think it was one of the lowest rated cage match shows on Cage Match that year. It's so bad. It's so bad what they did. They did like a run-in and then a number one contender match to give B. Priestley the shot back, and it was really weird. Or no, they did a no contest. I don't know. Anyway, back to this match. Now they have one final match here on this very show in the main event of the season. The match went 17 minutes. Meiko Satomura then defeated Sari, and it was just incredible. It was just two women just beating the living crap out of each other. No bullshit, just them going back and forth with neither giving either an inch, and it was just great. They didn't spend much time feeding each other because they just didn't need to. They just went in there, just punched each other, just kicked each other, and just stiffed each other. It was incredible to watch. Sari is, do we need to say anything about Sari? She's just so good. Especially in big match situations in these Shinjuku face shows, she steps up like no other and puts her mark into the venue like no other. She just looks like an absolute superstar, more than usual in this venue, especially at Sariism. Meiko Satomura, on the other hand, was on her retirement tour there, and she is so good. She's so good, and so much better than most wrestlers are when they are on the retirement road. She put on one of the best matches in Joshi Wrestling of the entire year there, and it felt like they had even another level in them. It's so hard to believe that she retired this year based on her performance, but also, better going out when you are on top or when you are very good than when you are kind of cooked, to be completely honest with you. Still, this was just incredible to watch. They didn't take any prisoners. They just fight for a life wipe and just beat each other up until one of them stayed down. Here it was Sari. Incredible match. If you haven't checked it out, do it. It's absolutely worth it. Match number 3 is from Sendai Girls, and it's from Meiko Satomura's The Final Show on April 29th, 2025 in the Solar Curtain Hall show in front of 1,660 fans. And of course, we are going to talk about Meiko Satomura's retirement match here as she teams with Manami against Aja Kong and Chihiro Hashimoto. And first of all, from the opponent's choice, I love it because it's the opponent of Meiko Satomura's early career in Gai Japan, where she and Aja Kong just tore the house down a ton of times. Meiko really had her breakout, pinning Aja Kong back then. And then, of course, Chihiro Hashimoto, her student, and her latest rival, took the latest run, or like her last run with the Senegal's world title, run away from her in March before that. Those two teaming together against Meiko just fits perfectly. Meiko as her opponent, as her partner, choose none other than Manami. And Manami is a great shout because she's young, really young. She's like 21 years old, 8 years in the game, one of the Meiko Sanomura students, and her getting a shot instead of a Mika Wata, as an example, or Takumi Roha, or anyone like else. A lot of people, sorry, that have something to do with Meiko Satomura, just shows you how much Meiko really believes in her. And I think that is an important thing to mention about this match. And Manami wasn't just part of, like, she wasn't just in the match, she was really part of the match. It came really at her own next to these three big stars. I really loved her performance in this match. Of course, the highlight was still Meiko, because it's Meiko. And her wrestling with Aja Kong in the final minutes one last time was just awesome to watch. I enjoyed this match from the very start to the end. It's a perfect retirement match with Meiko in the end pinning Aja Kong one last time. What do you need to say about this? It's just incredible. Retirement matches in Joshi wrestling are just always something really special. This is one that just can't keep up with all of them. Just so much cool stuff, and the entire show in general was really cool, and it also just showed how popular Meiko Satomura is. She just showed how many legends can you bring to a show, and she just said yes. There was like Devil Masami, Crush Girls, Bull Nakana, Kira Hokuto, Takao Inoue, Kyoko Inoue, Shinobu Katori, Minoru Suzuki, and so many more, and it was just cool to see. This match in general was just awesome. The entire celebration of Meiko Satomura's career was awesome, especially as someone who has been, at that time, watched her run in Gai Japan as I was doing my Gai Japan catch-up. I believe it was in 2000 at that point, where she just was able to break out, and seeing her career ending like that was just cool to see. I always love when wrestlers can decide on their own, okay, it's time, I'm ending my career, and that was the case here with Meiko Satomura. She did her best, and the follow-up, of course, with the 5-on-2 handicap match where she teamed up one last time with Aja Kong against Shiora Hashimoto, Mika Wata, Senka Katsuki, Takumi Roha, and Yuna. The 5-minute time limit draw was just emotional masterclass at its best. And these 35 minutes combined with the entrances and everything like that was just peak Joshi wrestling. Chef kiss. I really love that. Cool stuff. Great match. For the next match, we're talking about the JTO Girls title match as Asusa Inaba faced Tomoka Inaba at Takataichi Mania's Puro show, Takataichi Mania number 6, in a Kurikan Hall show in front of 805 fans on May 7th. And it, like I said, it was for the JTO Girls title, and it was a long time coming as Asusa Inaba defeated Tomoka Inaba in a singles match for the very first time. And it was a big thing as the younger sister here finally overcame her older sister. And it was a story that they have been trying to tell ever since Atsusa made her debut in March of 2023. Ever since they had a couple of matches, especially the big one in Kurikan Hall for the JTO Queen of JTO title in 2024, year after Atsusa's debut, where they had a great Kurikan Hall main event that I really enjoyed last year, where Tomoka was able to still defeat Atsusa. Now in the next title match, after 21 minutes, Atsusa was finally able to overcome her younger sister, her older sister, and established herself as one of the top stars in JTO, and it's great. It's such an awesome match. 20 plus minutes of just these sisters punching each other, kicking each other, just ripping each other's arms and legs off, because JTO style is very leg and arm work, like very limp work focused, and these two did it really well. Their selling was always good. Sometimes it didn't really go anywhere, especially limp work, but in general, we're still talking about an 18-year-old in here with 2 years experience, so of course not everything she can do will hit. But I think her performance here still was great. Like, And in the end, she got the big win, and that is really what it was all about. The kicks, especially for both sides, were just awesome, and then mixed with the rare sibling rivalry that you really don't have that much in pro wrestling. That kind of has been that they have been telling, and that is pretty much the thing why this match felt so big. Worked really well. Like, you really wanted to see Atsusa finally overcoming Tomoka, and when she did, it felt like a very big moment for her, and it felt like the next level that she was trying to do, and she worked really well as an underdog, which is kind of funny because in Stardom she's really booked as a heel, as part of Hate, together with Rina majority of the time. Here she worked as a great underdog, with Tomoka having control of the majority of the match and Atsusa needing to fight her way from underneath to really get back to Tomoka. In the end, she of course won the match. Great outing. I really enjoyed this one. It might be one of the more under the radar matches that we'll be talking about here in the series. It's really good. People should check it out if you have the time. The last match I want to talk about is from Oz Academy's major show in Yokohama Budokan, and it sold 1,989 fans, as the main event of the show was a faction versus faction 8-woman elimination match. Seikigun with Kakeru Sekiguchi, Mayumi Osaki, Saori Ano, and Yumi Oka, with ringside being Yukihi against Hates, Natsuko Tora, Rina, Ruaka, Sayaka Mitani, when ringside being Konami and Momo Watanabe. And after 48 minutes, Mayumi Osaki eliminates Natsuko Tora last to win the match with Seikigun in a emotional masterclass. The 48 minutes were just flying by like it was nothing. And this match, to talk about a little bit about how this match came about, it of course started with I believe it was at one of the shows in Oz Academy that Hate jumped the ring. I believe it was a three-way match between Kakeru, Mayumi Osaki, and Saori Ano at the Curtain Hall show for the top belt, the Oz Academy Openweight title, which then of course was then stolen by Ruaka. Ever since then, they brought a little bit here and there and everything like that, and it also led to a singles match between Natsuko Tora and Mayumi Osaki at a Stardom pay-per-view that Natsuko Tora surprisingly won, which was a big shock at the time because Mayumi Osaki doesn't lose much, especially not singles matches. And then it was set up to be this match. 4 versus 4, Seikigun finally together, reuniting after splitting up last year due to the story they were telling. And it felt like the biggest thing in the world. The entire match itself felt like the biggest thing in the world. The entrances of both teams, with Seikigun having the special entrance, with one coming out after another and then coming out together, with Hate just having this aura around them. It was awesome. And the match was exactly what you expect from it. Just brawl after brawl after brawl, non-stop brawling action. Nothing, it never felt really boring. The elimination were all really well timed. And with the surprise really being that Saori Ano and Sayaka Mitani eliminated each other with double pin. And then it came down for the last 50 minutes from between Mayumi Osaki and Natsuko Tora. The two leaders just fit perfectly. And dude, these last 50 minutes were outright incredible. Mayumi Osaki in Oz Academy. I have my problems with Mayumi Osaki outside of Oz Academy. I think the starter match especially was quite bad. But in Oz Academy, she's incredible. The way she performs, the way she moves, it's just so awesome. The crowd was totally into it. And the entire shenanigans of both Hate and Seikigun, which are very similar, just work out to perfection in my opinion. Like, both of them, Ozaki and Tora, had just incredible performances in this match. The way they were fighting in the end with everything they had until Mayumi Osaki finally took down Natsuko Tora with multiple chain shots to the head was just awesome. When the pinfall came, it just felt like an electric moment in my opinion. I really love this match. It just shows you what Seiki-gun is at the best at, and how you can use the hate formula to its perfection. I believe that mixed together with an audience that just were so behind Seiki-gun because they just treat also Academy fans treat Mayumi Osaki like a god is just great. Tora especially. People need to accept how good Tora is. She's so good when they let her. Her tag team run in Stardom right now is super good. Her singles work in Stardom is super good. And this is, in my opinion, her best performance. The way she stepped in the ring and just carried herself, my god. Incredible match. People should check it out. And with that, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Leave a like, comment down below. And with that, bye-bye.